Hi, welcome back to Making All the Plans. I'm Connie, and if we haven't met before, I'm a busy mom of 2 active kids, and both my husband and I have full-time careers. My goal is to share with you how I stay on top of all life throws at me in one planner so that you might be able to do the same. Today, I wanted to share my full planning system on how I stay organized and achieve my goals. My system combines both digital and physical tools to make sure nothing slips through the cracks. And here's how it all comes together. First up is my Frankenplanner. This is the cornerstone of my planning routine and has been for over 30 years. While this specific planner has evolved with the seasons of my life, I've been using a paper planner in some form since 4th grade. This is my day-to-day hub where I manage time blocking, track habits, and stay on top of weekly tasks. There's just something about the act of writing things down that helps me stay focused, and adding decor makes the process both functional and fun. If you've watched videos on this channel before, you'll know that this is the main part of my planning routine and the part that I share most often. Next up is Notion, the digital powerhouse of my planning system. While my physical planner keeps me grounded in the day-to-day, Notion is where I organize the bigger picture. I use it for long-term planning, task management, and keeping track of all the details that don't fit neatly into my planner or that I want to be able to reference longer term or on the go. And although I have been using Notion for about a year and a half now, I did go ahead and buy the Glow Up Planner template at the beginning of this year. I really wanted to amp up the aesthetics of my planner, so I purchased it for the aesthetics, and I have been tweaking it and moving my content in ever since the beginning of 2025. This is still a work in progress, but I feel like this system always will be growing and changing as my needs grow and change. But that is one reason why I was drawn to Notion. It really can adjust to your current needs without making too many drastic changes. So using Notion as my digital headquarters, I've divided it into sections that reflect every area of my life. Starting with the planners section, I have an area for my personal planner, my work planner, and for all my making all the plans items. These sections allow me to track tasks and projects for all the areas of my life and keep them separated so that when I'm working on work, I can just focus on that area. And when I need to work on making all the plans or my personal life, then I can focus on those areas as well. In addition to planning, Notion is where I store my inspiration and motivation. I have pages for my vision board, my personal mantra, and a collection of quotes and other inspirational things to lift me up. It's also the home to the routines that I'm building, the start of my recipe collection, fitness workouts, and trekking. Whether I'm mapping out my morning habits, planning a week of meals, or logging workouts, Notion helps me keep it all organized in one place. I even have sections for the fun stuff like my reading journal, a list of TV shows and movies that I want to watch, and a travel planner to map out upcoming adventures. And don't forget about all those random notes and maintaining a wish list for items I'm thinking about purchasing. It's truly an all-in-one system that helps me stay on track and inspired. Let's go ahead and dig into the Notion template a little bit. First, I'll start with my personal planner. I do have a master task database, and I like to keep my current and future tasks for my personal and home life front and center. I do keep my work tasks in this same database, but I keep all of my making all the plans items separate. I tried to put it all together in one, and there are just too many different tags that I want to add for making all the plans that it just made sense to keep that separate. So I do have some filters set up on these 2 tabs so that I can see those things that I need to work on today or tomorrow, and then everything in the future. I do also like to keep all of my making all the plans tasks for the next 2 weeks here, just so I have a clear vision about how much time I have to spend on personal and home tasks if I want to make making all the plans the main priority. And this is a little more than just my content calendar, so I will go ahead and rename this so that it makes a little more sense when I'm looking at it. Then, if you look between the clock and that image of the hot chocolate, I do have a button where it will produce a date for me. So, I don't usually do this on the weekends because I don't have a lot of items scheduled. But if I go ahead and click this button, it gives me a space to type in the current date. I will use January 17th as an example. Then it gives me an area to type in my schedule for the day. This allows me to look to see what time blocks I have to fill with the tasks that are on my task list. And then once I get that done, I can also expand my AM routine. And eventually, I would like to have my evening routine and my daily routines in here as well. But for now, since I'm starting with my AM routine, I can use this section to stay on track. And then at the end of the day, I can just close this up and drag it to the archive. And then when I'm ready to start a new day, I can just hit the button again and start that process again. And then I'm on to my work planner, and I will be blurring most of this out, but I do have this project section here, which I really like to keep track of all of my active projects. I do have a new project button at the top and an archive projects folder at the bottom. When I click the new project button, it does create a new project for me. Then I can go in, rename it, and then it already has these sections built for me. And there is an archive section here as well so that I can keep this page neat and tidy and not cluttered with things that are already completed, but yet the archive section allows me to review things that we've already completed. And then back to the work page. Over on the right side, I do have a task list. This again is only showing me the things that I need to do this week. The starred items are the most important items. And then over on the right hand side, I do have meeting notes, professional development notes, as well as a deployment list. And I like to keep those all front and center. Moving on to making all the plans, I do like to have my weekly calendar up, and this will show me everything that I have not completed yet this week. So as you can see, I only have items on Saturday and Sunday, and then I can skip ahead to the next week to see what is on the schedule for next week as well. Then over on the left-hand side, I also have some shortcuts to my content calendar, different ideas, my monthly stats, HB90 goals, which I keep in my HB90 notebook as well as my planner. And then I also have some LLC information handy. If I click into the content calendar database, I can see all the other views that I have built. So a YouTube calendar by month, this is where I like to come in and kind of look at what's planned, move things around if I don't have time to complete them, and plan out future months. As you can see, I need to plan out future months. I can also look at my Instagram calendar, any admin tasks, and then other various tasks that I need to complete. I also have a few other sections such as unassigned to a date, and those are just ideas that I've started fleshing out, but I haven't assigned to a date yet. So I can go through and assign those to dates in February or March. But I really do like to have an overview of the week up front because it's less overwhelming than looking at an entire month with everything on one calendar. So once I'm confident that those future content calendars are built, I just live on that weekly view. Along with my HB90 goals, I also have my vision board in multiple places. I really like to have it digitally so that if I'm somewhere and I don't have my planner or my HB90 notebook with me, I can reference this at any time. So these are just all the images from my HB90 notebook that I built my vision board with. They're just in a slightly different format. The next section in my vision area is my mantra, and it is a little long, but I do like to try to write this out every day or at least once a week. But the main theme of my mantra for this year is I deserve everything I visualize for myself. I also have an inspirations and quotes area so that anything that inspires me, whether it's an image or a saying or a podcast, I can just drop it in here. So if I need to come back to find some inspiration, I can just come to this page. In the well-being section, I'll start with routines. I do have quite a few of these listed out that I want to build out. They are all things that I feel like I used to have under control, and then I got sick and they all kind of fell apart. My energy level dropped. So now I'm ready to build these routines back up. And even though these aren't all fleshed out yet, I am really focusing on my morning routine. I have been trying to keep notes in all of the sections as I think about something that I want to or have done in a routine that I don't do anymore. So I'm currently building all of these routines out. So then I can not only put them into routine, but also if I fell off the wagon again, I have a place to come back to reference. The three that I am focusing on for Q1 are my morning, daytime, and evening routines. And the rest of them I'm just kind of working through a little bit here and there and not necessarily trying to go all in all at once because I know that will be overwhelming and it is not sustainable. Then I have a recipes tracker. I am debating on whether or not I want to move all of my recipes in here. To do that, that would really be committing to Notion for everything forever. And I am on the paid version because I did want more images and the ability to add files. So I'm not sure if I want to make that commitment and dive that deep into this relationship I have with Notion. The main part here are my dinner ideas so that if I'm stuck and I have some ground beef or some chicken, I can jump in here and pick a menu item. I do have them linked to pages with recipes, which I believe that a lot of these sites are going to start disappearing or going behind paywalls. So I really need to get those recipes somewhere. Whether they'll be here or not, I'm not sure yet. So, have you ever gone to work out and you spend more time looking for a workout that you want to do versus actually working out? Well, I'm using this section to solve that problem. I just have a few basic workouts here. So, if I forget to decide on or plan a workout for the morning, I can just go in here and do one of the canned workouts that I know how to do. I also have a section for my running log and I have not been good about writing these in, but it will track the number of miles that I've covered, the number of minutes that it took, and how I ran it. I'm really trying to get a basis for how long it would take me to complete a run. So if I wanted to run into town and back, that's about 2 miles. So how long would it take me to do that? I don't want to go out for a run and then it take way longer. And if I have an appointment or something like that, not get back in time. But I would like for this fitness section to eventually have a few more canned workouts on it. Next up is my reading journal. I do like to keep track of the books that I am currently reading, and that looks very similar to this year's list because I haven't finished any books just yet. I also have some goals for 2025, the major one being to read 25 books in 2025. and to not buy any new books in 2025. This reading list is a database, so I have been able to break them down by the year that I completed reading them. So I can look back at 2024 and to 2023. I can also go back and look at all of the books or just the books that I want to read. I also have a shortcut to the full reading list database. And I like to look at this when I'm trying to reserve books on Libby. Down at the bottom, I have a whole list of items that I want to read, and I can use those to search different book titles in Libby and put holds on them. The next section in the Glow Up Planner is my travel planner, and I don't have a lot of trips planned right now, which is kind of a bummer, just our spring break trip. But this is the time of year where I start planning other trips with my bestie and start planning out our summer excursions. The TV shows and movie section, I simplified quite a bit. All I really need here is a list of movies and TV shows that I want to watch so that I don't forget next time I'm looking for something to watch. We do have a few streaming services, so even though I have my own lists on each of those streaming services, I would like to have one place where I can keep those lists. Then in my notes and reference section, I do just have a bunch of notes that I've taken either about a book or a YouTube podcast or things like that. And I just need a place for them to live. So I have a little database here of just different notes that I've taken. They used to live in a notebook, but when I don't carry that particular notebook with me, it's not very helpful. So I do keep those notes here. And then I also have some reference information, different school information for my son and my daughter, like his bell schedule and his Funko Pop catalog. Then for my daughter, I also have her bell schedule and her different sizes and different brands of clothing. And then I bought some stamps from Heidi Swap and I wanted to keep this image handy, so I dumped that in my reference section as well. If that section gets bigger, I can always move it to somewhere else. And then just a note about going to Florida with my mom. The last section is my wish list, and although I only have two things on my wish list right now, granted it is right after Christmas, they are wildly different. One is a chair mat because my chair mat is starting to crack, and the other is a Pilot capless fountain pen, and it's a little pricey, so I'll either save that as a reward for something or maybe get it as a birthday present. So just things that I think of that I either need to purchase or that I want to put on a gift list. As I mentioned, I did purchase this particular template because of the aesthetics of it. The thing that I love about it is that the navigation stays on the top. It is not as dynamic as I would have liked it to be. I probably will go back and change that later. But as I mentioned, if you want a good aesthetics, this was a great template. If you want the interactivity that you might think should happen between databases and things like that, this is not the template for you. I have also purchased and tried out Thomas Frank's templates, but they were a little much for me, and I didn't want something that complex and intertwined, so I needed something in between. So I found an aesthetic template that I liked and built the interactivity that I needed between the databases. The next digital tool that I use on a more than daily basis is my Google Calendar. I have this synced to my phone as well so that I can see this overview regardless of whether I'm on my phone, my computer, or my iPad. So apologies for blurring a bunch of information out, but I think you can get the gist of this just by looking at the color coding and whatnot. I will say that each color does represent something to me. The red is anniversaries and birthdays, green is for my son, purple is my daughter, orange are my personal items, the lighter orange are my work items, Anything in that dark gray are synced to other calendars. So the ones that are showing right now include my son and daughter's soccer calendars, and there's 3 of them all pulling into this calendar automatically. I do write this calendar into my planner each week so that I have a chance to realize if there are any conflicts or if I need to arrange rides for my daughter or if a car is getting repaired and somebody doesn't want to sit with it. All of those things are things that I look for when I write out my calendar on Sunday evenings. I can toggle on and off different calendars. So if I wanted to see a view where the kids' items were turned off, I could. But since I feel like I am somewhat involved in everything, making sure they're getting places, things like that, I just leave them on. This does give me a good visual of how much time I actually have in the day to accomplish things. So I really like having all of my calendars dumped into one master calendar. Next up is my notes app, and I normally have one running note going at a time. And on this notes page, I do keep a list of anything that pops into my head that I need to write down. I also keep things like lists of errands that I need to run while I am out. And I don't necessarily want to carry my planner or anything bigger than my phone with me. So at the top of this list, you can see that I have donations, the bank, and a return at Whole Foods. I do know that I also need to make a Kohl's return, and I do like to keep these in the order that I would complete them. So, for example, on Tuesday, if I decide to do this, I will drop off my donations on the way to work. And then at lunchtime, I would probably go to the bank and do the return at Whole Foods. And then on my way home, I would do my Kohl's return. Then, as you can see, I have a random note, new blinds in master bedroom. That's supposed to say in master bedroom, a calendar for my mom, white candles for the dining room. So if I am going through and cleaning the house or anything like that, and I think of something, I almost always have my phone in my pocket. So I will just pull out my phone and write myself a little note. And then on Sunday, when I sit down with my glow up planner and my planner and all my tools, I will then move these items over to the appropriate planning tool. I also have some items about work that I just wanted to have on hand. So when I was walking around meeting with a vendor, I could discuss these things. And then if I go down a little further, I have ramen and pancake mix, and those were just notes of things I needed to pick up at Costco this morning. I will go ahead and remove those. But as I mentioned on Sunday, I will go through and move any of this information that I need to keep over to the appropriate area. And then I will also gather anything that I need to run my errands and put it in my car. Photos are another way I use my phone to quickly capture something I want to revisit later, whether it's inspiration, a recipe, or just a reminder. My camera roll tends to fill up fast. One area where my routines could use a little improvement is scheduling a regular time to go through my photos and really clean them up. When I do take the time to go through my camera roll, I start by deleting random images like screenshots of games that I no longer need. So I was in the middle of a game and I was trying to remember what I'd already guessed, and I took a screenshot of it. I do not need that anymore. I captured this curly hair inspiration photo, and I've already taken action on this, so I can delete this as well. And then there are things that just don't resonate with me anymore, like this dishwashing detergent recipe. If it no longer sparks interest, it's also gone. However, if there's an image that I'm stuck on or that I am not sure whether I want to move somewhere permanent or delete it, I will just go ahead and leave it be. So this one I'm going to just leave where it is. I'm not super selective with the actual photos I keep. Most of them just stay in my camera roll, but for images that spark an idea like this one of the Hobonichi Cousin planner, I make sure to move them to the right spot, like Notion or my planner, and then I delete the photo. So I've already moved this idea to my inspiration and created an Instagram reel about it. So I can go ahead and delete this photo. Some photos, like work-related ones, will go into albums for easy reference later. Organizing them this way keeps my camera roll manageable and ensures that I don't lose track of anything important. This image is not one that I need to save for later, and I will go ahead and delete it instead. I also like to go back through and delete anything that I've already moved over to my longer term storage. So any of the videos that I've done for making all the plans, I have already moved over and I can remove them. By taking just a little time to review and organize my photos, I make sure they stay a helpful tool in my system rather than overwhelming clutter. But as I mentioned before, this is something that I would like to build into one of my routines, most likely my Sunday routine, but it could also go in my Friday reset. So let's transition back to physical products that I use and ignore my glasses mark since I had to have my glasses on to do my computer work. But I did want to jump back on and share those other physical pieces of my system. And you've probably also seen this if you're not new to the channel. This is my HB90 notebook, and I rely on this notebook to set my quarterly goals. This is where I map out my good, better, and best goals and break them into sprints. Every week I review my projects. This is where I map out my good, better, and best goals and break them into sprints. Nope. So now let's transition back into the physical products that I use to stay on top of everything life throws at me. I also rely on this Leuchtturm notebook. It is my HB90 notebook, and I use it to set quarterly goals. I map out my good, better, and best goals and break them down into projects and tasks. Every week, I review my progress and adjust my plans. I do also keep a copy of my current quarter's goals in both my Frankenplanner and in Notion. But I do like this notebook because then all of my goals, all of my notes about my goals, everything fits in this one notebook for each year. So then I can look through the entire year of progress that I've made all in one place. Then I keep a grid spiral bound notebook handy, which I affectionately call the cheapest planner, but a lot of people also refer to it as a scribble notebook. But this is where I let my thoughts flow freely. It's perfect for brainstorming, messy to-do lists, quick calculations. It's not fancy, but it's incredibly functional and inexpensive, and sometimes simplicity is all you need to get the job done. I love having a space where there's no pressure to make things neat or perfect. This notebook is my go-to for capturing ideas on the fly or breaking down larger projects into smaller, more manageable pieces. If you're curious to learn more about how I use this part of my planning system, I do have a whole video that dives into all the details, and I'll put a link in the description down below. And last but not least is my Hobonichi Cousin. I have just started recently using this, and I do not use it consistently, but I have been using it to take what I have roughed out for the day, and then I put it into the daily pages of this planner so that I can flesh things out a little more, put things in the order that I want to accomplish them in. Sometimes I just need to rewrite, as much as I try to avoid rewriting, but sometimes I just need to rewrite that to-do list for the day in the order that I need to accomplish things in. So I have not decided if this is going to become a permanent part of my planner lineup and my planning system, but I have been enjoying playing with it, and on the days that I've used it, it has definitely helped me stay on top of all of my tasks. So those are the individual components to my full planner system. Each tool serves a unique purpose, and together they keep me organized, productive, and on track. If you found this video helpful and you would like to learn more about these components, don't forget to like and subscribe for more planning tips, and let me know in the comments how you combine digital and physical tools in your own system. Thanks for watching, have a great week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.